up, everybody? Welcome to Eagles Halftime Live. We are back. We are so back. Joining me, as always, Shane at Shane Half NFL on X. What's up, Shane?
Man, I just woke up today and thought, you know what would be nice? It would be nice if there was a football game that we could watch today. And man, what a first half. I'm not going to get too excited about a preseason game except for the fact that it's just been months and months of no football. We're so back, man.
All right, we'll do a quick reaction and then we'll get into offense and defense. Quick takes. I know it's preseason, man, but watching Kellen Moore's offense, the willingness to consistently take the short yardage stuff, the slants, all that kind of stuff with the bubble screens, that was pretty consistent. We didn't see a lot of pre-snap motion until really the second quarter, but other than that, it was solid, man. I love that drive, that 9-10 play. Play clock bleeding drive, the ones we saw back in 2022, man. I was just so sick and tired of Nick Sirianni's obsession for long developing plays in 2023. Awesome to see that. The personnel on the team looks so much better already. I thought Kenny Pickett looked about as average as heck. He's just a guy, and he has a noodle arm. There's not a lot of zip on the ball. I was never a Kenny Pickett guy during the draft process. It's pretty wild, Shane, that Pittsburgh thought that this was the guy at one point. But, man, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. stole the show, especially in that second quarter. What about you? Quick reaction.
Yeah, I mean, Trotter looked good once he got in there. 4 tackles and a sack and a QB hit. He had I was most impressed. I think, unless I'm misremembering, the sack that they called is the one where he blitzed and then had the second reaction play, right? It was right at the line of scrimmage, a 3rd and 2. I'm assuming they clocked that as a sack because I don't remember another one. But that was a really impressive play to not win on your initial rush, but stay with it and bounce to the inside and get Josh Johnson on the scramble. Will Shipley looked impressive, I thought. The biggest question mark with Will Shipley, in my opinion, was his pass protecting ability. And he had a couple of plays where he did a really good job stepping. He had one where he stepped into the A gap and picked up a blitzer. He had another one in the B gap. He's had a couple of good pass protection reps. And if he can do that, I mean, he looked good as a runner. And that's going to get him on the field. He will have a chance to play some. He's a good receiver. He's just got to be able to block. So the most encouraging thing for me offensively was seeing Will Shipley step up and pass block.
Yeah. Rufus chimes in, don't hate on Kenny Pickett. And Pickett, I trust. Oh, my God. I can't believe those people actually exist. I can't wait to get to Tanner McKee for this second half. For all the talk everyone did, Dean did look pretty good. He had a couple of nice blitzes. We'll get to that in a second. Keeley looked really good. We're going to talk about Ringo for sure. Dean in coverage. Didn't see a lot of Dean in coverage. I got to check that out. He sticked the running back on the check down. That was really impressive. But let's jump into the offense, Shane. Where do you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned Will Shipley already, so I don't feel like I have to go back there too much. I think Tyler Steen left a little hobbled. As long as an injury is not serious or anything, I think Tyler Steen will end up being your starting right guard. I thought he looked impressive. They used him as a puller a few times, and that's not something he did at Alabama, playing tackle very much, and so he's been able to do that, so that's been nice to see. Johnny Wilson looks really good as a blocker. I really wish he could have pulled in that one high ball near the end of the second quarter because that would have been an impressive catch, but he looks good as a blocker. John Ross should not be on a football field ever. He cannot separate against second-string defensive backs. That one, they called it out on the broadcast. And yes, Kenny Pickett underthrew the ball dramatically. I'm not saying it was a good throw. There was no play because John Ross and his 4.22 speed didn't beat anyone. And so you see guys all the time come back to that and get a DPI. No effort whatsoever. It reminds me of watching Quez Watkins. I can't do the John Ross thing. I don't want to see him play football.
I had Jalen Reagor vibes. That was just me, though. Offense looked good. D-line not so much. Britton Covey, I thought, looked really good in the offense, but that one return where he made 4 guys miss, that was really impressive. I was just, in general, impressed with the interior offensive line. That was a major question mark, for me at least, heading into this week 1 preseason. And there were some surprises. Mekhi Becton looks like the guy here at right guard, just like as we were talking about throughout training camp. And I thought Trevor Keegan was a guy that surprised. I mean, he looked like he was holding his own. Trevor Keegan might be another diamond in the rough for this offense. Again, I'm excited for Tanner McKee in the second half, but like you said, Johnny Wilson's like the size of Zach Edey in football terms. How are you overthrowing that guy? He's like 7'10". What are we doing here, Shane?
Yeah, that shouldn't happen. Also, back to John Ross. Even like the penalty that he drew on that last drive, he ran a curl route, and with his speed, he didn't threaten vertically. And then he literally just slips coming out of his break and grabs the defensive back and pulled him down with him, and they called defensive pass interference. So, that's nice. But Grant Calcaterra, Albert O both showed a little bit as a tight end too, which is nice too if you want to be a 12 personnel team. So, overall, I really liked some of the things I saw from the offense.
We have a lot of John Ross hate happening in the comments section. It's hilarious. I want to see McKee. Pickett's arm just doesn't have pop. Absolutely. Albert O looks solid. Let's head over to the defense. First and foremost, I thought it was the Jeremiah Trotter Jr. show. Looked really good in special teams. The one hit stick he had there, it was like first quarter, second quarter. But Trotter Jr., he blitzed on the one play up the middle, kept fighting, got the sack on Josh Johnson. Happy for him. He looks like he belongs, man. That was my concern, the size. He doesn't have elite athleticism, but he's making plays. What was your take on the defense?
I think my biggest takeaway on the defense, so Quinyon Mitchell didn't play a lot. He dropped an interception where he played really good coverage. He was physical. They're letting that go tonight. Hopefully it's representative of how it'll be during the season. But I thought he had some good moments. But Keely Ringo looked really good. Yeah. I tweeted out that Ringo says he wants a starting cornerback job, but they had the one ball that was the back shoulder on the sideline, and it was completed. That's one of those where just perfect offense beats perfect defense every time because Ringo had really good coverage. And later in that drive in straight man coverage, he breaks up that pass in the end zone. And again, he's physical. They're letting him play. I would rather my corners be physical and have to back off of that later. But I thought Ringo looked really good. The defensive line's a little concerning for me, though. I thought that Fangio blitzed a lot. And I think the Eagles are playing starters and blitzing a lot, and they're not getting sacks against a backup offensive line. I do think that's a little concerning. So that's something to keep an eye on as we move through the preseason.
Yeah, I think Jalen Carter had batted down a pass there on the first series, and Nakobe Dean had a nice blitz that was taken away, I think, on a Nolan Smith penalty. By the way, I didn't hear a lot of Nolan Smith. That was another guy I was really looking forward to tonight. I don't, other than the penalty, that's been about it. Any other defensive takeaways before we get into our halftime adjustments?
No, that's really all that comes to mind for me from the defense so far.
All right, let's get it. All right, halftime adjustments. We've only got a couple more minutes before the third quarter begins. Shane, you want to go first or second?
Second.
All right. Halftime adjustments, get me Tanner McKee. I am sick and tired of already watching Kenny Pickett. I'm not calling him Clayton Thorson here, guys, but he stinks. He's about as mid of an NFL quarterback as it gets. Get me Tanner McKee, a guy that has much more pop on the ball, can hit the middle of the field. Pickett is just staring down blitzers and has no idea what to do. Give me Tanner McKee all day. I want to see more sustained drives. That feeling that we had back in 2022 where you just sit on the ball, sit on the clock, run the football, set up a deep pass. That's what I want to see in the second half. The Eagles, utilize the run to set up a nice, decent pass, 20, 30 yards down the field. What about you, Shane?
Get John Ross off the football field. That's step one. Now, the thing I want to see in the second half is just to clean up some of the issues. The Eagles have taken 2 sacks. One of those was a terrible play by Pickett to just scramble right into coverage or into a blitzer. But you've got 2 sacks for 15 yards. You've got 5 penalties. You want to talk about drive killing, inability to sustain drives. You take a sack, you commit a holding penalty. I mean, 7 times out of 10, that's going to kill a drive. And so the Eagles have done a little bit too much of that. 7 total penalties / sacks in the first half. That's the type of stuff that Stoutland is going to be on the offensive line about. I just want to see him clean that up and play clean football in the second half.
All right, Shane, where can we find you, man?
Check me out on Twitter at ShaneHalfNFL. I'm live tweeting clips from the game, especially if you're unable to watch this game live because the NFL Network stuff is garbage. And then check us out right here after the game for post-game show.
Yep, guys, we'll be live as soon as the clock hits 0, talking everything, winners, losers, player of the game, you name it. It's going to be a lot of fun, guys. Whoever's watching, thank you for all our comments. We'll be here every single week, halftime, post-game. Drop a like if you love the Philadelphia Eagles. And Jeremiah Trotter Jr., for Shane, for myself, stay awesome, everyone.